This week, I checked in with TJ Connelly, also known as Senator John, DJ for the Red Sox, the Bruins, New England Patriots. Ringing a bell? Yeah. And during his downtime, he founded a streaming radio station, Uncertain Times with TJ Connelly, online at uncertain.fm. Oh, we geeked out about radio big time.
Something different with
Enjoy.
music. So I actually consulted for the Patriots for a year before I worked there.
So you are now, how did you get the senator name? Did you make that up?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, it's actually amazingly dumb, though you may appreciate the history of the name. I mean, it is the end of Animal House. I've had this name for 20 years.
Uh-huh.
And when I was my first DJ gig out was River Gods.
Okay.
And I had a night that went through a lot of mutations, but at one point it was called When FNX Was Cool. Because this was during the time when FNX was experiencing some difficulties that you may remember.
I was there. Yeah, I worked at FNX through a lot of ups and downs, and a lot of downs.
Yeah, no, I mean, I have the distinct honor of being the last person ever hired.
Is that right?
Yes, it is. They sold the station the week I was supposed to go on the air. But whatever. Then I got to do the last night, so who cares? It was great. I freeform, and I didn't have to play group level all night.
Oh dear.
But where was I going? Wait. Oh, right. The Senator.
How did you start being a DJ? I guess is probably where I started with this.
Right, but so there it goes from there. Is the funny part is I got the Phoenix to print the when FNX Was Cool listing because I had a friend who was there, and then Julie actually blew up on the air one day about it. She was like, I mean, in what I now realize was probably a little bit of a someone set me free help. I'm trapped playing Limp Bizkit or whatever. But yeah. So anyway, in those days, if you were DJing, everybody had these super short names. It was DJ Tree, DJ this, whatever.
Yeah, I really should have worked on that.
Wow.
I never got a.
Yeah. I mean, everybody in the world knows me as TJ. And the worst part about that is that I'm instantly TJ the DJ. So literally, I came back for my first time trying out at Fenway, and my buddy, the bartender, was like, TJ the DJ. And I was like,
you're like, oh God, I'm never going to live that down.
Yeah.
And the senator came.
I listed it as DJ Senator John Blutarski just because it was so long, just to have people be like, what the hell is that? And then I signed up for Twitter as Senator John, and low history. So it's entirely left over.
When you can work, you DJ for the Red Sox, the Bruins, the Patriots, and the Revolution, as I left out, and I made a snarky joke about it, but I was wrong.
There's not a lot of DJing to be done in a soccer game anyway.
Yeah.
There's no music during it, and it's just I play before and then for 5 minutes during halftime, and that's it.
So you have to be very deliberate with what you choose, I would imagine, during a soccer game.
Yeah, and they have it's a whole different setup there. But the opportunity to do it comes with having the Patriots job. So
fair enough.
Because you got to eat.
So what happens? Where are we? And I definitely am going to segue into your streaming radio.
Yeah. Oh, you're recording this thing. Great.
Situation.
Where by now? But
I am now. I wasn't earlier, but you are off. You're not working. You don't have any sports teams to play music for until when?
That's a great question that nobody knows the answer to.
What's going to happen?
I mean, there will be sports. Baseball's trying super hard to do July. Bruins is kind of a big question mark. Obviously, they're going to try and play it, but nobody knows anything about when. And then Patriots asked for availability for the season. Their schedule is out. I don't imagine there will be fans in the stands, but those are happening.
There's sort of a double whammy for the Patriots this season.
Yeah, it's going to be. Hang on. Did I kill that? You still hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, good. Okay.
Not that I want to delve too deeply into sports.
Yeah.
But I understand somebody rather important to the team left.
I'm told.
So how's that going over?
I mean, whatever, right? The weirdest question I had about it was actually So when Brady took the field, we used to play Public Service Announcement by Jay-Z, right? Allow me to reintroduce myself. And one of the guys from the Globe was like, "What are you gonna play?" And I was like, "I don't know." Like, I don't. And in all honesty, I was like, "I'm not totally sure who the quarterback is right now." So
That's
whatever
gotta.
that guy wants, you know.
Can you imagine what the conversations are like behind the scenes right now? Because it's just been. I mean, you grew up around here, right?
Yeah.
Do you remember when Sullivan Stadium and the Patriots were absolute rubbish?
Oh yeah.
And they really flipped the whole game on that. And we
Right.
have been spoiled little Boston, New England assholes for all of these last, I don't know how many years. I don't know,
Right.
many.
A while. Yeah.
Um,
That
no,
sign that keeps coming out every time they win, where there's like an 11-year-old holding up a sign being like, "Championships happen every year of my life," or whatever. Yeah.
I hope for the best for them. Meanwhile,
Yeah.
I certainly want you to continue to have work. So knowing how
Thank you.
much that floods the economy, I don't think it's really far away.
No, and I mean, you know, for all of the people who are saying it, whatever, but I mean, it is very true that people are a little entertainment starved. And I think that, you know, the positive thing about sports where A, everybody's quote unquote watching the same thing at the same time,
Mm-hmm.
and B, like people have something to root for
Yeah.
other than just like something, maybe today will be better than yesterday, you know, that
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing.
Agreed. I think that after all, we're well over 2 months now. I don't know, I'm in like day 70. I lost count. I stopped counting.
Week
I,
10 for me.
I went out yesterday and ran errands, and I actually I feel pretty good. I was outside, the sun was shining, despite the fact that we're all masked up and people are, avoiding eye contact at all costs and staying away from each other.
Right.
It actually felt really good. So I can understand that we need to start the very little steps of the phases, if you will.
Yeah.
We're not, normal is never going to happen again.
No.
Everything's going to be different
Yeah.
from this point on.
Which, you know, I mean, that's good and bad, right?
Yeah.
But there are some things that might be better about what happens. There will be a lot of things that will be not as good.
Agreed.
But I mean, it's kind of a blank slate in a lot of weird ways. So who knows? Maybe, you know, people will be kinder to one another. Maybe all of a sudden, universal basic income. Maybe the whole, who knows? Whatever.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. After 2+ months, people are, like you said, entertainment starved. That's a good way to look at it. They're bored out of their minds. I think a lot of parents weren't banking on being homeschoolers.
no,
I couldn't imagine the stress that is associated with trying to work and do whatever you do, and trying to school your kids and learn how schools teach kids now, because it's certainly not
right,
the way we learned.
right, yeah. That is what I hear from my friends with children. And on the other hand of that, you know, hey, let's all appreciate teachers, friends. In case you didn't before, you certainly do now.
That's right. Nurses, healthcare workers, teachers, they're your heroes. They need a parade.
Yeah.
Roll the boats.
That occurred to me. I was like, huh. And then I'm like, well, in many ways, we're probably not having any parades for a while, even if we do win things. But
Yeah. No flyovers, parades. Let's talk about uncertain times.
yeah.
How did this start?
Pretty organically, a couple people just said, I mean, so I was scheduled to work a Bruins game on a Saturday, and then there was a question of whether or not there would be fans in the stands.
Yeah.
And then that sort of day where everything went to a halt happened, and then no more Bruins game. And over that weekend, a couple of people just kind of said to me, like, you know, I can't remember what it was they would have said. Something about like, it's too bad you can't play music, or if, you know, it'd be great if you could play music somehow, whatever. And as it happens, like I have a 20-year background in internet tech. Like it feels very weird about the show having come to be, because it weirdly feels like sort of where all of my job skills might have been heading the whole time, though I didn't know that. Which is great. And so, yeah, so that Monday, the 16th, I just was like, I'm going to do a demo show and see if I can make this work or anything. and I got a ton of people, and I was like, oh, okay. And then I guess I'll do it tomorrow too. And that has pretty much, it has been tomorrow now, 48 times.
So you get up and you start your online radio show at 10 a.m. Eastern time.
Yeah. Usually I turn the station on a little bit earlier, actually. Well, that's the funny part too. When it started, the whole idea of it being uncertain times, but I was like, I'm going to start around 10 and go till whenever, you know? And now it's 8 hours long. Like now it's a whole day, and it's like a schedule, and yeah. So it's there's actually it's not much that's uncertain about the times themselves, so to speak. But
right. Yeah. So how has it been for you? How does it? Did it work out the way you had hoped?
It has worked out better than I could have ever hoped. It's great. It is like, I mean, like I said, it really feels like a thing that I'm not sure if I should have ever tried to do it before now, but now that I'm doing it, it's great on so many levels. I mean, first and foremost and most selfishly, it gives me something to do. Like if I didn't have this, I would actually have nothing to do. Right. I would do like video games or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
And so it's great to have a thing to focus on, for one thing. But I mean, I don't have to explain to you the magic of radio, right? Like people, there is something very incredible about everybody listening to the same thing, and that like very magical way that I wish I had better words for it, but the sense of community that you get, that you're all listening to this one broadcast, and it's like seems like a conversation but isn't necessarily, and you get
it's a really great feeling for those people who don't do radio, never done radio. It's like a performance for me. It's not like I'm singing opera or anything like that, but I feel like when I'm doing that, doing it live is the best feeling, because it's out there. You can't take anything back. It's gone. You can't edit it.
I mean, I am pretty well committed to not tracking anything. I've obviously had to do that along the way in various different commercial gigs, but before this, I did I was doing college radio, which is about as live as anything can be. And so to me, that live component is a huge thing. And so there's been that, and it was terrifying for the whole beginning because obviously licensing is a thing. And that's
something I want to know about for sure.
I've been licensing. I'm licensed now. I got BMI and ASCAP and mostly Sound Exchange, and I got to do the other two. And it was funny when I started, like nobody's in the office. Like I'm literally trying to get someone, hold of someone at BMI, just being like, please allow me to give you money so that you don't come and take everything I own later.
Right.
But that seems to have worked okay so far, knock on wood. And yeah, so it's been weird. It's like almost like a startup practically. Like it's, I'm trying to keep it on the art side of the thoughts, but there's also a lot of business that has to get done at the same time. I definitely have reached the point where if I was a real thing, I would probably be like looking for an intern. Just like, please help, do some of the things.
So that's my next question. Do you think you'll have the capacity to continue to do something like this when our normal day-to-day resumes, whatever that normal looks like?
Right. I think so. I mean, I would like to. I mean, just for I'm taking my first day off since the beginning of this on Memorial Day, because somebody pointed out that we could do that on Memorial Day.
Which I was actually, I shocked myself when I recognized that this weekend was Memorial Day weekend.
Me too. I didn't know at all. I don't. Someone said, oh yeah, you could take Memorial Day off, and I was like, oh wow, I could, and then I was like, oh, that's Monday. Hot damn! Yes. I will take Memorial Day off. Yeah, I don't have to wait for that. I can just do it. But yeah, I mean, the biggest thing about the show in terms of it working out though is like, and this is like, I mean, so I'm running the Patreon, which is helping with the licensing side, and like to some degree, I guess just like more or less extending my unemployment or whatever until however that works out. But the biggest thing is like probably every couple days, like, I don't know, at least once a week so far, if not almost every other day, like I get a note from somebody like for whom the connection to the show has made a big difference. And sometimes it's the fact, so there's a live chat for it now too.
Oh, that's cool.
yeah, people, there's like a Slack where people just hang out and make jokes, and there's a whole community on there that's on there every day talking to each other, which is great when everybody's locked up on their own. And but it's also just that, like, I get notes from people who are just like, this show is really like holding me together, or it's just nice to have a thing to look forward to every day, to know that
Yeah.
there's something, or
Yeah.
somebody sent a note being like, thank you so much for telling me it's Tuesday. And I was
When
like,
you program, yeah, right. Thanks for the reminder. When you
I
program the
do it every
show,
day now. I start off and I'm like, it is Wednesday.
when you program the show, where are you doing? I know you often do themes and connections and stuff like that, but is that sort of your regular? Is that what you set out to do every day, just to be sort of creative with the programming and think about things a little bit differently?
Yeah, I am. It's definitely been a learning process. When I was doing the college show, I was doing 3 hours once a week, and I would work on that for like 3 or 4 hours per show, right? Um, and put together, a whole playlist that played nicely and whatever. And sometimes there's themes and stuff. But now, as it has turned into an everyday affair, like the hardest thing going off. It's funny. The second show, I started it with the countdown from Lost sound effect, just because I have been watching Lost in this time. But like day 2, because this is the thing, I would finish the radio show and then just be like, I need to make the radio show for
Yeah.
tomorrow now. And so the first month of that was tough. Like, it was just a grind. And I mean, I'm not trying to never play the same songs again, but like, I don't have a rotation. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have, I'm programming every day individually. And like, I think the most I've played anything is maybe 4 or 5 times. And they're usually things that are like kind of, a running gag in the show, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Fridays are big, stupid dance party Fridays. And every single time I have thrown in a terribly beat match version of the Carmen Sandiego theme,
Oh boy.
like over some like underworld or real techno or whatever else, and just have the bop dop da da, etc. would happen. And like, it's terrible. It's absolutely terrible, but it's hilarious. So,
But now you have to do it. It's the
right
thing.
now it's a thing.
The
Yeah,
thing.
I didn't do it on the last Friday, and then I just waited until the show was over for like, I don't know, 30, 40 seconds. Then I just played it on its own, and like, people just lost it. It was great. I mean, it's the other nice thing is, unlike usually doing radio with the chat room and Twitter and stuff, like, you really do get some fairly instant feedback from people who are like, oh, I like that, or oh, that's terrible, or whatever.
Yeah.
Played Jim Croce the other day, and somebody was
Oh
like,
boy.
you're kidding me.
You have that?
Weirdly, Time in a Bottle. Yeah, no, well, I have all of. I mean, this is the thing. It's 100-year-old ballpark. Like, I have all of the music from the last whatever. But I mean, Time in a Bottle is actually weirdly kind of a whole different song now.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Yeah, it
it
is.
still a ridiculous? I mean, when I say Time in a Bottle, do I feel like I'm watching a Time Life commercial at 3:00 in the morning? Yes, but like, whatever. It kind of worked. It came on the other day, and I went, oh. So, yeah, that was a long and crazy answer to how are you putting the show together, but there you go.
And well, I can't imagine the catalog of music that you have. What was the number that you threw out?
Which, for like number of tracks or something like that?
How many songs that you have there in your banks?
It's like 70,000 or something. But
Wow.
it's pretty well organized going back to the 50s. And then I have some stuff from the 20s and the 30s and the 40s. I somewhere found a ton of, like, someone ripped a bunch of 78s.
Ooh.
Which is nuts.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's not a lot of call for them, but because someone did that, I'm like, well, I'm going to put that somewhere and not lose it. Yeah. But so, like this morning I started with Rhapsody in Blue.
Wow.
Before the show started. Like, this is the thing. I kind of roll different stuff in the pre-show so that I can run around and get coffee.
Kind of get in the vibe.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the fact that Rhapsody in Blue is 14 minutes long, I was like, I can get coffee and do my stuff. Great. So, but yeah, it's always kind of been a thing for me to pointedly take a lot of left turns, genre and expectation wise, while playing, just for fun. And yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and people seem to like it, so that's cool.
Do you ever, I imagine this might be a little bit more difficult, do you ever record any segments and post them or share them with anybody who might want to, save it?
Right. So I do post some shows to patrons only on Patreon, and it just streams. So it's more like time shifted on demand streaming. But if I have read all of my paperwork correctly, because people still can't choose the songs, then it is the same as if I was streaming it myself. Like you can't, it's not like Spotify where you can say, I am tired of this and play something else. That's apparently a big difference in streaming. I don't, I have learned a lot more about it than I ever knew. And I've been lucky, actually. A lot of people have kind of like sent me contacts for people who I can just talk to them and be like, am I doing this wrong? Am I doing it right? And they're like, okay. And I'm like, great, good, okay.
Yeah. I thought a lot about doing more of an extension of my show, but those are the limitations that I face.
Yeah.
How deep do I want to dive into that?
It is, well, I wonder for local stuff, I mean, you could kind of just get permission, sort of.
And that's sort of that's really what I've been doing. But when I noticed that, like, I had my stuff on Spotify and I took it off.
Yeah.
Because I can't police
like podcasts or whatever.
Sorry?
Like as podcasts? Like
yeah, I took it down because if I play something, I have got
this face you're making,
I could get flagged or I may get flagged, right? So
right.
I've been a little bit more cautious with the things that I do include in the show. That I love to play. I'd love to play the Pixies, but then
robots know the Pixies tough.
Yeah. Then the possibility exists that more I'm going to get attention in a way that I don't want to.
Right. Yeah. No, I understand. Identify. Yes. It is. I mean, I used to put all my college radio shows up to download because whatever, college radio.
Mm-hmm.
And that was my instinct in this case, and very quickly discovered that was not the right idea. So the streaming thing is actually like having a restricted stream like that is a pretty decent workaround.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't fix the podcast.
What do you use? I'm curious.
Like infrastructure wise, what do you mean?
Yeah, what do you use for gear? What are you using for a streaming service itself?
Oh yeah, so this is the thing I'm incredibly proud of, just based on my own bad habits. I totally could have set up my own streaming server on my own server and like whatever, and I didn't. I'm paying somebody to do it for me, and I'm so happy. It's like, it's like as a point of pride, because I've probably built my own thing way more times than I need to. Not for streaming, but just for any internet, whatever. So I'm using a thing. I started off with a different streaming company that actually kind of blew up on me. And so like, yeah, it was actually kind of a great day though, because, I went to go at 10 and it was just not working. And like by that point we had the live chat and there were people like trying to help debug it to some degree. And I just said like, all right, we're going to try again at noon. And then eventually when it didn't work by noon, I signed up for a new one. I was like, okay, I'm churning. Here we go. New customer. Now the company is, I want to say it's Yes Streaming. And the nice thing about it is it also handles all based on like the metadata you send with what songs you're playing. It logs it in a file that you can then later use for your reporting. Because the tough part about the reporting is, not to get 100% inside baseball, but apparently you have to be able to say like how many people were listening to what song it was at that time. Which is 100%. I'm glad that I started off paying somebody else to do that. So it's that, and it's funny, I have this basement full of like road DJ gear. Which is just like, I did sometimes I do a show, the Saturday Night Extra, which is just like, guys, I'm gonna play music you play at night and not at noon. Like here's a Cure remix that's 8 minutes long. This is a weird way to start your day, but it's perfect now. And I'm staring at a full DJ wedding light setup that is like right here. And I just turned it all on. And so all of this, whatever, I was doing some Facebook Live during it, and like the lights are all whatever. And it was fun. But it's mostly just like a Mackie 8-channel mixer. I would absolutely kill to have both a Q channel and a monitor. Like, so like right now, actually, the worst part of my infrastructure is these are my Q headphones. that have to plug directly into the
Oh.
laptop.
Oh yeah.
And my headphones are on the mixer.
Like,
one of the ears has broken since we started. Yeah, exactly that. And so it's just like only the right ear. And of course, like I have a 50% or worse chance of picking up the correct one in the moment where I'm like, I gotta cue this. They have a minute left. Hold on, wait, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
For positives. But yeah, that's kind of it. I use DJ Pro on the Mac to do that, and then there's this great piece of software. I was actually helping MBR get their stuff rolling at the beginning because sometimes I do LRC, and I have this thing. There's a program for the Mac called Audio Hijack, which basically like just by dragging squares around, you can like route your audio from any application or the system to anything else you want, including the external mixer. So like having messed around with that a bunch, it seems like it's working okay. And I can record it right in that same thing.
This part is really interesting to me because I always sort of survey people who do these sorts of, you know, audio related things. So what do you use? What works for you? Because I've looked at, like you say, DJ Pro. I've looked at a bunch of different things, and my hang up with some of that is I expect workflow like I'm at an FM radio station, and nothing mirrors the workflow like you're on the radio, right?
I found a couple. I just don't love them. But go ahead, finish. Yeah.
Which, you know, we can talk about that too. Doesn't have to be now. But yeah. I have gone through various things while I've been doing this independently, you know, done Boston Images, which is super fun. Right. But, you know, when you do radio, you get, maybe it's me being a little lazy because I like the whole, you know, I like everything laid out the way I like it. And now I got to do a little more work to it.
I sympathize wholeheartedly. It is a whole thing, and that was part of where I actually was researching to use. There's a couple pieces of software that are like fairly real. I can't remember what the thing that the stations use, like Profit or whatever.
Yeah, that's one.
Yeah, and it kind of does it, and it's interesting because you can do all your segues and stuff in there. But there was nothing. A lot of them were like, do you have a $10,000 budget? And this piece of software, which is like $800, is going to like talk to this other piece of hardware for $3,000 in a way that like a DJ controller, where you can like do your mixing. I will say I tried to do, so one of the things we tried to get back, being a lifelong typer, I got some RSI going on in the hands, and like somewhere in the middle of this, I like went to open the fridge and my hand was just like, oh. And I was like, this is what comes of using the trackpad all the time. To make whatever. Yeah, like I literally managed to bang up my hand. And so now I've set a whole different ergonomic thing. The one thing I haven't been able to make work, though, I have a giant DJ controller, like with all the lights and the spinning and whatever, which I feel like, honestly, having done this for years is mostly about being able to like do this in a photo and just like point up at things and have that is whatever. Yeah, exactly. Oh, hang on. Getting it real. It's terrible.
Well, I appreciate this tech talk for sure.
Yeah, I mean, and but the one thing I haven't been able to do is make the controller work with the streamer. Something does not work there. So whatever.
So most weekdays around 10 o'clock, maybe a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
You're rolling into the library, as it were, where you're sitting with all your word
my
things.
Basement studio, right?
That's where I am. It's very it's all stripped down right now. I'm sort of redecorating. I've been redecorating for 4 weeks now, but we're getting there. I just ordered a bunch of frames. I know that's a very exciting conversation, but
hey,
I ordered a bunch of frames. I have
I
have piles of show posters that I want to put up. But
right, of course you do. Awesome.
So, with all this downtime, I was like, well, time to get the frames using my government money.
It's I mean, it's funny to see the things that are I used to read, like obviously looking at this, whatever, I would probably read a book like once every 4 days. I would make it through a book. I have opened a book like twice since all of this started. And part of that is just being busy with the radio, but like even just like eating breakfast, I'm like, that's usually a time when I'm like, oh, I'm gonna read a book, and like I just don't have it. I'm like, okay, gotta go make radio, whatever.
So what's your
yeah.
prognosis? What's your prediction? I know we don't know. We have no idea what's going to happen from one day to the next. What's your prediction to when we start to sort of ramp back up?
Well, I mean, I think so I have an interesting perspective on this somewhat because my girlfriend who lives with me is a nurse practitioner. And her story of the last 2 months is incredible.
I bet.
She had to build a field hospital, and she works with Boston Healthcare for the Homeless program. And so they basically had to build a field hospital for the homeless in 3 days out of tents and whatever. Fun fact, the people you work with in the city to build a field hospital in 3 days also work on parades.
And they probably also do music festivals, because that's what a lot of the music festival crews are doing now.
Yeah, it's very like, I mean, those, if you need to make something happen fast with a lot of people, you go talk to this guy.
Those are the people to do it.
Yeah. I mean, for the future, you know, like you asked the question of whether I'm going to keep doing it, and I hope to. Nobody seems to be having sports at 10 o'clock in the morning, so that's handy.
Not so far.
So I mean, that's the thing. We don't even know. Like, maybe baseball will be day games now.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I doubt it, but maybe it will be. And so, yeah, there's all that. But I think, you know, I'm very much encouraged by the fact that people seem to be, regardless of sort of like what you see on TV, trying to both sides things a little.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was incredibly encouraged when New Hampshire opened up first and still nobody went anywhere. And I was like, yes, if the live free and die anyway state is not going to go and, you know, ruckus it up in bars and whatever else, I'm like, good.
Yeah.
Good. That's a great sign. And so I just kind of hope for people's better instincts. The things that get me down more than anything is when you see, you know, people on their usual bullshit, basically. Like all the people who were doing dumb, evil things before are like, oh, this is a great time to get more evil stuff done. And I'm just like,
it ignites it.
Yeah.
The people, I definitely see that. The things that we've been reading about in the news, those people they just want to raise hell for any reason.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, yes, it's very, I don't know, go down a rabbit hole, but I mean, I think if people sort of continue to do the right thing, I mean, it's a very weird perspective and not one that like I've actually shared with a lot of people, but the fact that it is, you know, we have a lot of latitude in decision making now for whatever it is we choose to do. Like there are a number of things that are possible that would never have been possible in our normal lives before. I mean, on a stupid level, just the way that, like, you know, TV has handled entertainment, like, hey guys, we're just going to do another Parks and Rec episode. No reason.
Yeah.
Like, we're just going to do this benefit because we can all do it because we're all home and whatever. And like, I'm not saying that everybody's constant availability is necessarily a good thing across the board, but, you know, I'm trying to look at possibilities rather than limitations, if that makes sense.
No, it's a great way to look at it.
Yeah, and it works like probably a good 70% of the time, and the other 30% of the time, I'm just mad as everybody else.
You know, my biggest concerns lie within the music community. I'm optimistic, but I'm very nervous.
You mean in terms of like shows for
venues? How people are going to get their livelihoods back? It's nationwide, though. You know, it's not just here.
Right. It is also weird to remember that Massachusetts is more hard hit than a lot of places. And so like we very much feel like we're in this place. And I mean that's just true on this wave. You know, like there will at some point be another spike. That is the best thing to like keep in mind is like you're going to get stuck. We're going to be, I don't know what the, you know, Baker's phases are. If this is start, like we're going to be at before start again for at least a month at some point in the next year.
Yeah.
But I feel like that stuff will come back. And, you know, I'm really encouraged to see all of this, the things that musicians have managed to pull off from their homes.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of those live streams, I'm just like, wow, that's crazy. That's cool.
The hustle that a lot of them have is it's inspiring.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
They're
it's, you
raising.
know, there's a million things I thought I was going to do during this time that I'm not doing. I'm amazed that they're managed to pull it off. Really, actually, I got to say the thing that I'm most worried about, having a lot of friends in the world of restaurants and hospitality.
Oh yeah.
That is a messed up thing. That I hope will find a new way of working well. But I mean, already some places I really like have closed. So it's just like stuff.
And it's going to continue to, and that's the,
Yeah.
these businesses were teetering before this happens, and then when
Right.
you have 2 months of zero business.
Yeah. It does sort of feel like, I know that this does not make sense in actual modern economic world, but I'm like, hey, if everybody's on pause, can we just like put everything on pause? Like, can it be okay that no one pays rent for 2 months and we just all sort of pretend that this didn't happen?
Mm-hmm.
The answer to that question is apparently no.
Yes.
But
Yes.
yeah, but on the other hand, I mean, you know, I'm not beating any particular political drum, although I have several. But like,
Me too.
yeah, I mean, right now we are currently all living in universal basic income. Like, a lot of people still have jobs. The rest of us are very much on unemployment, and that's a big number. And like,
This is the
maybe
first
that's the thing
time.
that makes it possible to survive in a service industry or something later, or with musicians, where it's like, hey, you want to be like, congratulations, you're all federal trust fund babies now. Here you go. You can afford to live, and you may still be stacked 6 to a room in Alston, but you'll eat. Like, it'll be all right.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Ramen will be cheaper.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Well, thank you. It was
Yeah.
great to catch up, see what you've been doing. I've been impressed with your hustle.
No. Well, thanks.
It's cool. I like it.
I'm doing
It's
my
not
best.
easy.
I gotta tell you, I mean, it's very sentimental, but the fact that you, the early messages I got from people just being like, thanks, this is making a difference.
Yeah.
Like, gets you through the part. I mean, there's definitely been at least 5 shows where I've woken up and been like, I have nothing. Absolutely nothing. Time to improvise for 3 hours.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, but it went from being sort of 2 hours, and now it's 3.5 to 4 hours, and then repeated for the West Coast. Like, yeah, I mean, there is a version of this where obviously if I'm going to end up paying for licensing, we're going to have to do something to fill the rest of the time, you know? Right. No, I hear you. Right. I mean, I'm very lucky to look at my contact list and go, oh, this could be pretty good. But yeah, I mean, that's off in the future. That's when the Patreon gets to the point where it's paying for more than licensing.
That's someday.
Someday. So we'll see.
When do you anticipate the universities are going to start ramping back up again? Is there any talk about even when the schools are going to allow the stations to have beings?
I will say they've actually done a pretty decent job. I have never read more email. Like, I don't know, the Late Risers Club people and whatever, but like WMBR, much like all of MIT, loves an email. There are like 7 or 12 internal lists and whatever. And the let's figure out how to make the station work when we can't actually be there. I mean, it must have been 50 a day. But it was fascinating to read them all and watch people figuring stuff out, and also just be amazed at like some of the brains out there.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's MIT, but like, wow.
Yeah.
Just like, oh, I managed to rewire and I'm just like, that's not Jesus. That's amazing. But they're, I mean, it's more like, it's not live, but I mean, there are people who are like uploading block shows every day.
Yeah. Yeah. WMFO at Tufts is doing that. I'm actually helping on the town with Mikey D to give them, I'm sure to sort of content sharing for my show. Because I've always been involved with MFO to varying degrees, and I'm like, why can't I help? Let's at least we can keep the show slots in place until we can actually go and be there in person again. Which I have no idea. Maybe not even in 2020 at all.
Yeah, I mean, there is a lot of that, and it seems to be true. I just read a thing today where this is the other weird thing about the radio show is I don't ever do news. Like, there's no current events, which is less of a thing now, but in the first month was very much like I feel like we've all spent enough time reloading our phones every half an hour to find out if anything got better.
Yes.
But like BC apparently wants to have students on campus in the fall.
Is that right?
That was mostly my reaction. And that that is exactly the face that I made. I was like, sure. Okay. we'll see about that. But I think ZBC, I don't pay that much attention there anymore, but I believe they're doing something similar in terms of uploading shows and streaming it that way, which is great, you know. But MBR managed to figure out how to get their transmitter working, which I was like, wow. Like, you guys got the transmitter working without going into the building. That was the thing where I was like, how did you guys are good.
If anybody's going to do it, it's going to be MIT.
Yeah.
They have one of those robot dogs go in and fix it.
I would not be surprised. This literally was crazy. But yeah, I mean, the example I always give people is like, in the time that I was on ZBC, the training was, here is the door code. Training
have
over.
A good time.
Good thing you know what you're doing. Whatever. At MIT, I had to take 6 hours of classes and pass an 1.5-hour oral exam in order to be certified to be an on-the-air engineer, which is more training than I got at FNX.
I've never, ever done that in my history of broadcast radio.
Yeah, I had flashcards. You had to be able to describe the entire air chain device by device, and I had a sort of like the hip bone connects to the whatever thing.
Wow.
Where I was looking at flashcards trying to remember the next thing in the air chain. So
we're really pulling that curtain now.
Right. Other people are like, air chain? Whatever. So yeah. Anyhow. This is a delight.
These are uncertain times.
Yeah. Every morning they are.
But it's a great chat. I know you have something scheduled for later on this evening, but I appreciate you taking time from your clearly very busy evening, much like mine. I have a dog snoring behind me. I'm surprised that they've been quiet throughout this conversation.
Nice.
Thank you, TJ, the DJ, Senator, whatever other nickname you want me to add to that.
I will stick with it, whatever. There's no way I'm ever going to escape the TJ, the DJ. At least people know my name.
Uncertain times with TJ, uncertain.fm.
Yep.
Just that easy.
Yep. Day one, I got that set up.
Pretty great to score that URL right off the top.
Yeah, FM domains are expensive.
Are they?
It seemed, I mean, they're just more expensive than normal ones. But the minute I saw that was available, I was like, yep, that's what it is, Uncertain FM. Yeah, actually, in the same way that I'm TJ and Senator John and everything else, it's now become a running thing because I try and sort of do like an ID, and I'm like, we're uncertain times on the Uncertain FM radio network. I'm whatever. Like, thanks for listening. You guys know where we are.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, Uncertain FM. It's a good time.
Homebound freeform radio, the way it's supposed to be.
I try. Keeping the dream alive.
Keep on keeping on.
All right, cool.
Thanks for chatting with me.
Yeah, it was great to talk. Cool.
And I'll see you on the internets before we ever see each other in person again for who knows when that'll be. Yeah,
2021. I mean, look at it this way. Somebody put it the other day that 2021 is going to be amazing, the do-over year in which everything is double booked forever. And I was like, maybe, hopefully.
Somebody had a great premonition, and they were wrong.
Yeah. Very true. Well, we can hope. All right. This was great.
Take care of you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Boston Emissions with Angel Wood.